My God is awesome. Mm-hmm. 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 So I had to hang up and then go back live because there was no sound. Because there was no sound. Hello?
Hello?
Anyway, there's sound now. I don't even know when the sound cut. Anyway. Well, I probably might just erase the whole first part because the sound got messed up. I don't even know when the sound got messed up. But I'm pretty much just talking about ironing, sharpening iron, and it doesn't always feel comfortable, and it's not always what you think it is. Iron sharpening iron, we think it's a fluff comment. The last 8 minutes with no sound. Okay, well, hello, I'm Lorenza Nicole Molina, aka the Black Butterfly Queen, and it's it's the same episode, part 2, because the sound was off, and I don't even know where I left off at. So I have no idea, but um, I'm just gonna post both of these, part 1, part 2, on the same day. So iron sharpens iron, and it's not always gonna be comfortable, and God will use the people that you love to. Now you good, Queen. God will use you to use each other to help sharpen your weak places too. But it's not always going to be comfortable. But when God has told me many times, like, oh, okay, this is this person I put in your life, right? And a lot of times I think like we are so quick to discard each other or throw each other away or whatever when something doesn't go the way we want it to go or it doesn't feel good. And and when you in the cutoff game, like the cutoff game be hard, but we'll be so in that thing calling each other sis or calling each other bro or that's my little cousin and or that's family, whatever. And then we're so easily like to discard one another. And we can't be like that because if God has ordained something, right? Let no man take asunder. Just because God gave you somebody does not mean that that somebody is always going to be easy to deal with. But he gave them to you, meaning that he knew that there were going to be parts of them that were going to be a challenge for you so that you would grow. Because maybe because their heart for God is so big that this is the environment where it's actually supposed to be safe for you to grow in. See, a lot of the other friends or experiences that you've had with people, coworkers, other people that you've had experiences with, when you broke, they judged you. When you broke, they threw you to the side. When you made a mistake, they judged you. And sometimes when we can make a mistake and hurt somebody, and we hurt them and we feel bad about it, we can actually add insult to the injury by how we decide to handle it that going forward. Because sometimes, like for instance, I did not like hurting people. And I'm not saying I do now, but I remember where it was just like it stressed me to feel like I might have hurt somebody. And it just made me feel so bad. But this is the thing. You can't try to censor yourself from something that God told you to be in. Meaning, if God gave you to a person and he's telling you to show up, you can't start cutting yourself back from people just because you're trying to censor yourself because like, well, I don't want to do that again because it hurt me so bad to hurt them. And it's like, it's not really about them. It's about you not being able to deal with being wrong or being out of line. It's about you not being able to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And that comes from a perfectionist space. And sometimes and that's what I mean by it's you when you do those things, when you make decisions based out of if you feel bad about who you hurt or you feel bad about being hurt, and you make it, and most of the time we make decisions from places of pain and trauma, because if it was an isolated situation you probably wouldn't have responded the way you did, you know. But I really believe that God gives us people. He gives us friends. He gives us certain people in our family. He gives us coworkers or mentors. He gives us people that we can make mistakes with. Not saying that you're supposed to take advantage of that, but I think it's like, because this is the place where you're going to have the grace. And I just don't want people throwing away their friendships or the relationships so fast, because yes, we're human, and yes, we make mistakes, and yes, we hurt one another, and yes, it's not comfortable. But this is but if God said, I giving you this person is your love, the person, God will even give. It's kind of like when Jesus died on the cross and he told, I think it was like Mary, this is your son, and I think John, this is your mother, or whatever. I think that's who it was at the foot of the cross, because even though he was dying and resurrecting and all that stuff, he was putting them together for a reason, right? And God doesn't just give people to you for the good times. He doesn't just give them to you to be or for the bad times that you have in your life, but he also gives you people to deal with the good and the not so great in your own heart, in your mentality. Because see, this is a new place. See, like when you're younger, you cut people off so fast. It doesn't mean that you need to just keep toxic people around. But sometimes we cut people off so fast. Sometimes we cut ourselves away from things so quickly because I'm not trying to deal with it because of what we've learned, right? But the more I'm beginning to understand relationships derived by God and given to us by God, I'm understanding that it as much as you may want to walk away from a person, if God said, I gave you this person, you need to ask God about the walkaway first. Just like you would ask him about buying them something, just like you would ask God about something for them or pray for them. You need to pray, make sure, because what I believe is that God has designed certain relationships for the times that we're walking into and that we are now in. And the enemy wants to use hurts to break and sever things that God has created. That's what it just, because we are so used to just the cut out. When I tell you I'm a cut off queen, baby, chop, chop, okay? I will chop, chop real fast if I see that there is something that is off, right? And that's not good for where I'm going. But I can't, when God gives me people and gives me people or whatever, I realize that it's bigger than just it's bigger than just how I've seen it in the past. Like, God doesn't want us abused. He doesn't want us in toxic friendships, relationships of any kind, spousal, parent, child, parent, whatever. But when you are dealing with people, if you're going to deal with them in your way and God gave them to you, then you're not dealing with them in God's way and you're not dealing with them correctly. You got to give people to the Lord, yes. But you got to make sure you are acting in love, which is an action word towards them, because God is doing something in their life because of your presence, and vice versa. because it's not a one-way street. He's most definitely working on both people doing something, right? And it doesn't mean like something's just so wrong with you, but something may not be perfected. He's perfecting a work in you. And our relationships that are given to us by God are not, we talk about sticking it out with marriages, but we don't stick it out beyond that. And to be honest, we're not always sticking it out with marriages either. But there's some things that shouldn't be stuck out, okay? Any type of abuse, okay? Absolutely not. People getting cheated on. Now, if that's what you want to do, you could do that. Because sometimes there's an assignment against a whole marriage, and God is calling y'all to develop and become something beyond what you were, and y'all can stick it out. But some marriages, God is no, you have the permission to go. Everybody's different, you know what I'm saying? But abuse, okay? God would never want you to put your life on the line because of somebody else's problem. Jesus already died on the cross. You hear me? He already gave his life. Your life is not meant to be given for somebody else's stuff. It's meant to be a living sacrifice. You can't be a living sacrifice if you're in an abusive situation. So I just want to be very clear about that, okay? And that also means mental abuse, financial abuse, because it messes with you being able to become who you are and live. And if somebody is oppressing you and they're a narcissist and they're treating you a certain way, you no. I know people like, oh, you're not supposed to get a divorce and all the things and everything like that. If it is going to get in the way of me living my purpose for God, you will be put to the side. You will be put out. Because what I'm not going to do is compromise my purpose for the Lord for anybody. Okay. And if I cannot be the person that God needs me to be because I am with you on any level, then you cannot be with me. Okay. And I'm not explaining that because that's going to be something that has to be something that has to be said from the jump. Okay. That has to be understanding from the jump. Okay. But even if it's not, and that's the understanding you have come to, but if there's somebody you can't really explain things to because they're going to do something crazy, then you need to move in the shadows. You hear me? Okay. Be wise. Don't just be saying stuff to people and they snapping crazy and you end up on the news and you a sad story and a hashtag. Don't, be wise. Talk to God. That's what I mean. Talk to God about people. Pray to him about people. Even if it's only internally, pray. Because God heard Hannah prayer and it was quiet. And she was going through not the best experiences and stuff in her own home. But that's where God wanted her to be at. Because that, she's going to have Samuel, you know what I'm saying? Samuel was going to ordain the first king of Israel, which was King Saul, wherever, you know what I'm saying? And then David came after that and the rest is history. So I just think let's pray about our relationships, our friendships as we go through so that whether it is kind or firm, but with love, we have to do something that we're doing it as unto the Lord and we're doing it with the Lord's guidance because we really don't know the hearts of people. For crying out loud, we don't always know what's in our own hearts until it's exposed. You know what I'm saying? So let God lead you on how to love people. I hope y'all can still hear me. Let me see. Hello? Hello? Anyway, let God lead you on because sometimes the people you love the most, they gonna hurt you. They're gonna hurt you real bad. They're gonna hurt you real bad. And then sometimes they feel so bad that they respond a certain way too. Because they just feel so bad. Because they hurt you so bad. And you're gonna have to love them until they can forgive themselves, and you're gonna have to love them. And because sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes people treat you funny because they feel bad. They don't, they just feel bad about it, or they're trying to avoid something. And then sometimes people are making judgments and they put you in a category because it's easier than, dealing with what they're dealing with their own pain for the reason why they made the decision they made about you and all that stuff. But if God told you those people are supposed to be in your life, and God told you that He needs you to cover them, then you do that. You do that. You cover those people, because you never know. You never know what's going on in somebody else's internal, emotional, mental life. We don't know. I just think the enemy is after relationships on any level that God has ordained and put together. And we have to be willing to heal and to face the sharpening when it comes, even if it's uncomfortable. Because it's not just a person that hurt you. What is that about? Hello?
Hello?
I don't know what's going on, but it's not about the people that just hurt you or whatever, or the people you've hurted. It's not just about you or just about them. It's about what God has, the purpose of that relationship. There's so much more to this than your pain. There's so much more to it than their pain. Is so much more to it. Now, granted, people are going to be, there's free will at the end of the day, and people are going to make their decisions, and you got to respect those decisions. But make sure that you're just taking your heart to God about all things. And I say this because I just feel like God has been lining up families and people and connections. And we have to be ready to deal with. We're so easy to start cutting off people when it starts feeling uncomfortable. And I feel like we miss the fruit that comes after that. Because, like, I've had some experiences where things got severed, or it felt like it got severed and things like that. And God brought those things back together. Um, and I know I'm not the only one who's had those experiences, but the fruit that comes on the other end of that is just so amazing, because you realize that, it was God sharpening you. It was the God sharpening that dynamic. It was God, like, healing something in a place, and allowing it to happen through that dynamic, because that was the safest way that it could happen for you, even though it didn't feel like it. But that was like the place where there was going to be more grace given, because that's why He gave those people to you. That's why He gave you. I mean, we have, a lot of us have surrogate family and family, and that's why God gives certain people to you in a certain place in life. And it could be an actual family member too that God gives you in a certain place in life, and you're just like, I never thought I would have this in this person. I never expected this. And it's because there's an assignment in relationships. Even your brotherhoods and your sisterhoods, and it's not just spouse, it's not just mom and dad, or your parents or your children, your grandparents. It's not just cousins and stuff like that, or whatever, and nieces and nephews. Like, there is an assignment in relationships. I really believe that God is, like, designing people to sharpen each other through laughter and through pain, because He already knows y'all gonna have problems. He already knows you're gonna have triumphs. He already knows all the things. But I think that Immaturity has us cutting people off way before we should, because we're actually cutting off our own growth. We have to really understand love is greater than our negative experiences before. And what I mean by cutting people off, we cut people off based out of pain we've had before, because what they did looked like that, and we don't even talk to them. We just do it. We just ghost people. Like, but you told that person, or they've told you, y'all have all these things that you've done together, build together, do together. You cut off, you can even cut off family members because of another family member, because of other stuff. And I guess what I'm just saying at the end of the day, don't make decisions without talking to God about people, because at the end of the day, He's trusting you with those people. He's trusting you with their hearts. He's trusting you with that. In the middle of your own confusion, middle of your own pain, in the middle of your own trauma, make sure that you're talking to God about the things. Talk to Him about your own heart and your own trauma. Talk to Him if you feel like things don't make sense. But make sure that you are loving people, because at the end of the day, God still trusted you with them. He still trusted you with them. Because I feel like everybody in my life, I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that, but I'm saying, like, I feel like everybody in my life that God's given me, He's trusted me with them. Not because I have all the answers, but I think He's trusted me with them in the sense where, because I know I don't have all the answers. I don't know if I have one answer, to be honest. Okay. But I do know the God that has all the answers. And I think He's trusting me, or holding me accountable to the fact that when something doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to talk to Him first about them. Then I'm not just going to mishandle them without first talking to Him, at least. Like, I need to at least talk to Him. I'm not saying like after that I'm just going to mishandle them, but I mean, sometimes we still do. Sometimes we still mess up. But I feel like the way I know it's an honor from God for me to have the people that I have in my life, because these are His creations. These are His children first. He owes me nothing, and who He shares with me, my intentions and my goal is always to make sure they feel like it's a safe place, and that they know that if I have an issue, that of course I'm gonna talk to God first. I don't bring issues to people unless I talk to God, because, child, I don't know. I let me tell you how many times I could have how many times talking to God saved me from making some horrible mistakes, okay? Because woo, when I find out what's really going on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't say what I was thinking initially, and I just went to God, and God said, don't do it. Is that what you think it is? And then I find out later, and I'm just like, ooh, I'm so glad I didn't just assume and make an ass out of you and me. That's what assuming is, okay? We don't want that. We don't want that. But I've learned to just wait. I will wait, and then I'll talk to God, and I'll just wait. I will wait as long. I will just keep waiting. And if he gives me something to say, then I'll say it. If He doesn't, then I'm just sitting there, pretty much. But He's trusting me to take care of the people that are in my life, and He's trusting the people in my life to take care of me with what part of me that He's given to them. He's trusting me to pray for them. He's trusting me when they make a mistake for me to be kind still to them. When they hurt me, for me to still be kind to them. He's trusting me with all of them. Like, all of the things that I experience with them, that's what He's trusting me to do. So even if they make a mistake towards me, He's trusting me to be like, okay, God, to still be loving towards them. Let them be human. Let them make their mistake. Because, some people don't know what they're dealing with until your presence brings light to something, and it shocks them, because they don't have that intention. They don't have that desire. They don't, You know what I'm saying? That's not how they're thinking, but they have been damaged. And sometimes relationships bring about the truth of our pain and our damage. But just because that person may shed light on your pain doesn't mean that they're the problem or that they're like the people from before. They may be the reason, they may be the grace that God is, the grace light that God is shining on the situation, where He's saying, okay, I need you to see this, but I'm going to expose you in a place where it is safe. I'm going to expose you to a person that I assigned to you in this part of your life, because I knew these things were going to come out, and you're going to need somebody that was going to love you through it anyway, that was going to be there for you anyway, that was going to be forgiving towards you anyway, that was going to hug you and embrace you anyway, and understand that it wasn't about them. That wasn't going to take it personal. It might have still hurt, but maybe it didn't hurt in the same way it probably should have or could have, because they loved you anyway. And they saw you not for your pain, but for who God has called you to be. He reveals our prejudices, our judgments, our assumptions. He makes us more aware. And He's going to do it. He can do it with an enemy. He could do it with, but a lot of the people that we could still have some people, we don't cut them off because of some things that really, in hindsight, that probably wasn't something to cut them off for. And I'm gonna be honest. Most of the time, I'm getting cut off. I've gotten cut off, and I don't be getting it. And then later on, I find out why, and it wasn't really anything I did. It was because I reminded those people of something or someone that did something to them, and they weren't over that yet. And then they come back and tell me, they apologize, or they say they're sorry. And I'm just like, okay, And I can't really be close to them after that a lot of the times, but there have been a few where, it heals, But I've had people like go out of their way to act crazy with me, and I wasn't even that close with them. And then they come back later and tell me stuff like, I was dealing with this and I took it out on you and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's not going to come back. But I'm saying that it still made them better. And I guess if I'm going to do anything or be in anybody's life, I would hope that even if they make me their villain and I'm the villain in their story, that at some point it still makes them a better person. It helps them get closer to the best version of themselves by getting closer to God. But I also hope that when I'm human and when I don't understand what's going on with the other person, that I get the same grace, and that I give the same grace of allowing someone to be sharpened, and people allow me to be sharpened in a place where it's not always necessarily easy to deal with this stuff, but it's just a safer environment than it would be with somebody who really has it out for me. I hope that as we are sharpened by our relationships that God gives us, when we're sharpened with laughter and experiences together, and we bond through grief sometimes, and we grow in business together, that even in those times where we misspeak or missay things, that we also understand that that's part of it, that's part of the sharpening, that because it's a person that loves me, it doesn't excuse me for my wrong. It doesn't excuse them from their wrong. But this place is a place where there is grace. So even when wrong things happen, those places where other people have damaged, we can actually help each other heal in. We can give room in places where other people didn't give us room in. other people judged us for. Because I love the people in my life like this. Because I want that grace too. I don't want to be paranoid about making a mistake so bad that, or making a mistake and if someone just cuts me off or just throws me away. I don't be I'm only good to these people if I stay in this pocket. I need to be human. I need to be able to be human. And I need to be seen more than what my mistake look like or my mistake. And I say look like because sometimes our mistakes look like something else to other people because of what they've been through. I don't want to be judged by what you think or by your experiences and what you've gone through. I don't know why the sound going in and out. This is the second time. I don't know. Maybe. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let's see. Hello? Hello? Well, I just want us to love each other even when it hurts, because it's the compassion of the Christ. It's the passion of the Christ. It's the compassion of God that help us to be kind to each other in our own confusion of our own pain. When one person in that relationship or family member or whatever brings out that pain because of something they did or didn't do, and you realize it, that we have the maturity and the integrity to understand that if God gave us the relationship and the friendship, that what God is called, that valuable. And if we just throw people away so fast, it's like throwing God away. I think about, like, I say that because, like, when Paul, he saw the light, he saw God, Jesus, and Jesus said, why do you, or was his name Saul first? Why do you persecute me? And he ends up becoming a disciple or apostle and writes Corinthians and all that stuff. But before, when he was on his way to Damascus, on the road to Damascus, and Jesus stops him, great light, and Jesus already resurrected, walked the earth for 40 days, doing other signs and wonders and stuff, and then ascended and had over about 500 witnesses that saw him. Witnesses, living eyewitnesses that saw him ascend. Okay, all right, in history. He did all that. And he meets him on the road to Damascus after this. After Stephen's death, being stoned to death for being a follower of the way, because it wasn't called Christianity then. It was called just the way. And that's still what it is, the way. He's the truth, the life, and the way. They're following him, the way. He's the way. He's the path. That's it. Stops him and said, why do you persecute me? And he was talking about because he was murdering and massacring people who were following the way, which was Jesus, his teachings. And Damascus was like one of the last, I think, major cities that had like a big following or bigger following. So they were trying to knock those out, trying to, pat down the bigger flames first. Let's pat down the bigger flames, get rid of the bigger flames, and then we can start picking off some of the more smaller flames, from what I understand, right? And so he was in charge, baby. He was running through. He was a Roman citizen and he was Hebrew, okay? So he came with some authority when he was coming into these places, all right? You know what I'm saying? So God, Jesus knocked him off the horse, saying, why you persecute me? And so I'm just saying, like, the way we treat each other, we have to remember this is how we're also treating the Lord. this is how we're also treating him. So it's been so much going on this. I don't know. But I just pray that whatever anybody hear, when you hear it, if it's the first part, the second part, if it helps you, I pray that it helps you or whatever. Cause I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's going on with the sound and all that stuff. It's just probably time for some new equipment. So Lord, thank you for new equipment or whatever, or just I don't know. But God, I hope that this was pleasing unto you, and I pray that it helps somebody. And thank you for this episode, and I pray that everybody be safe where they are and whenever they hear this. I hope it just helps them. I hope it makes sense. I feel like I overly explained some stuff because I just didn't know. I just was trying to find the words, I guess. But yeah, that's it. I just gonna leave with hopefully y'all can hear this, because at the end of the day, this is all about being sharpened by love. Iron sharpens iron, right? Love is something and faith is strong. It's almost like those are two irons right there, making you sharp. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with this. I've read this before and I'll probably read it again. 1 Corinthians, written by a boy, Saul Paul, because his name changed. So Saul Paul. 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak in tongues of men or angels, but I do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy, and I can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. Always preserves. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will all pass away. It will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. Okay? When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man or a woman, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only in a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then shall I know fully know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. So it don't matter. The greatest of these is love. First Corinthians 13. That last part, when he's talking about knowing in part and then being fully known, and saying he used the child thing. He's talking about his childhood as an example. His reasoning, his thinking, the ways he spoke and did everything was with a fraction of understanding, because he only understood as much as a child. We are the children of God, so that means that we can only in this time, in this space that we are in, we only know things a certain way. So that's why we only can prophesy up to a certain point, or we can only speak on things up to a certain degree, because we don't know fully anything. But when we are with the Father, we will know things as he knows it, meaning we will have complete understanding and knowledge of everything. There will not be any gaps. Right now, that gap is necessary because it keeps us looking to God. When you are with him, you don't need to look for him because you are with him. But we are still ever on this earth and in this body. And so God needs us to remain in a space where we lean and look to him, because we will be lost without him. But we need to have that peace, that thirst, and that desire and that hunger to keep us looking for him. Once we are with him, we will be satisfied. You understand? We'll be fulfilled and full. But right now, we thirst, and we have appetite and hunger, and we taste him to see that he is good, right? But we don't know everything, and it keeps us seeking him. And so right now, it is good that we do not know everything like we may want to, because then it will take away the hunger and the thirst for God that we need for our souls right now in the state that we are in, right? And I'm not talking about the times we're in. I'm talking about the fact that we are on earth, okay? That's what this part of ourselves needs right now. But when we are fully known, when we are fully known, like knowing your full self and understanding that God has been knowing you fully this whole time. You know what I'm saying? That's why all these other things will cease to exist, because they are necessary for here, but it won't be necessary for there. You are not going to know everything. You're not going to know everything about everybody. You're not going to know everything about every person, not even your full self. It takes God to reveal the mystery of you. Everything keeps bringing us back to him. Everything keeps bringing us back to him. It was always what it was supposed to be. All these things that are around us are distractions. Pain is even a distraction. Doesn't mean it's not real, but it can be a most distraction if it takes our minds and our thoughts off of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Everything keeps bringing us back to him. You want to know who you are? Go to him. You want to understand the people you're around? Go to him. You don't know how to pray? Go to him. You got a job situation? Go to him. You want to grow or love people or whatever? Go to him. You're tired, flat. You don't know what to do. You ain't got no money. Go to him. Like, go to God. Clearly. It doesn't matter how many things happen in this world. The enemy is just giving us more reasons to go to God. At the end of the day, all the confusion, all the craziness that he comes up, the things that he tries to do in our relationships and the things he tries to do in our lives, just gives us more excuses to talk to God. At the end of the day, and at the beginning, and all in between, just gives us more reason to go talk to God about it all. And then God will sometimes be quiet, because when God is quiet, be like, God, what do you want to talk to me about? Because this is going on. But what is it that you want what you want to talk to me about? Because sometimes that's what you need to ask. You don't need to just go and pray and ask God, why this, why that? But God, what do you want to talk to me about? What is it that you got to say? Because there's a lot of distractions, and the enemy will have you praying about stuff that have nothing to do with you. You be sitting here warring, and God be like, that's enough of that. I need you to put this energy on this, because God is a God of precision. He is a God of precision. Okay. So when all this stuff is going on and goings and ons and whatnot, okay? And it brings you to God, the confusion, and be, I don't know what's going on, God. And then you don't really hear God saying that, and be like, okay, God, what do you want to talk about though? You got something for me? And if you still don't hear that, just start giving honor and glory. Okay? Because you're making an atmosphere, the habitat for him. You opening it up for him to come and sit down in. Okay? So, I guess I hope, so anybody seeing this one, there is a part 1. I got a phone call and I think it kind of interrupted the thing, but I'm not sure if that did, because Carlos told me it had been messed up for about 8 minutes, and he probably went back and saw that it had been about 8 minutes where no one could hear me. So I stopped and I started again, and I don't, we just got 2 episodes today. This part 1, this one's part 2. And pretty much the whole thing that I'm talking about in a nutshell is just about relationships and friendships and all just relationships and the assignments that are on them in this time, and just how we need to treat each other and love each other, and that iron sharpens iron, and that it's iron sharpening iron is not always what we think it is. It's not always going to feel good, but it's most definitely going to grow you. Hey sis. And so and I was just talking about like how God has used my sisters in helping me to learn myself, grow who I am, and things are, what I'm saying, like if I make a mistake or anything like that, like how God has I've learned things from those relationships. Like those relationships are valuable to me. I didn't grow up having like biological sisters, so the ones that God has given me, I really am grateful for, because I learned things I just couldn't know otherwise unless you have a sister. I just don't know how to explain it, but I've learned so much from that, and how we can't be so quick to throw each other away when something is not easy, when God is giving you a relationship with people. We are so fast to throw our friends away and people away because something didn't feel good. And it's hurtful and it's wrong to treat people that way, especially if God gave them to you. And we don't want to do that. And what I've learned through, the value that you get so much more out of relationship that can stand test of time. Then, I've learned from other people that are no longer here, and I thank God for that. But there is so much richness in relationships that have stood the test of time. You go through your ups and your downs and everything. And I've gone through my ups and downs with, different people, but it's like they never stop. Those people that just, even when you're mad, they are still your family. Like it doesn't change. Like those are my sisters. Like I feel like, that love, even if we were upset or anything like that, I just kind of feel like it doesn't change that you love me though. It doesn't change that I love you though. You know what I'm saying? So that's because that has nothing, my frustration or your frustration, it has nothing to do. That's like, don't talk to my sister that way. Like, don't get in her face. Like, I'm about that life. Like, that's how, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're always gonna have that in me and vice versa. Like, don't do that. Like, but some people, they will dismiss you so fast and throw you to the side, and you just be like, oh, okay. But I'm really grateful for these women that God gave me, and that I've had them for so long, and that I have them now, and that God has allowed me to be in their lives and vice versa. And I just, just am grateful. And I just wanted to explain that it's so important that you take all of it. You can't just always laugh with people, or people always be there when you sad and that's it. Like, you gotta love people through all the different seasons. And there's going to be moments where you're close and moments where you're not talking as much and things like that. But the love just never changes. I don't know how other than to say that, but the love never changes. I tell you right now, I call them and pick up wherever we left off last time. It will always be what it is. You know what I mean? Because it's the love, and it's something God gave us. It's God given. And so if you're having a hard time in relationships, or friendships or spousal, anything like that. Start asking God to give you the design people and then help make you for those people too, so that you know you can be sensitive to what's going on with your friends and your sisters and your family members that God gives you in this season. And know that even if they're not close to you in another season, doesn't mean they're not still yours in life. You know what I'm saying? But just love, learn how to love people from a distance and love people up close. Like I said, along, say, inhale, exhale, they expand and they decrease, but it doesn't mean they stop breathing. So let the relationship breathe. Okay. Let it breathe. Let it have life. Let it have the things that it needs. And take care of the body. Take care of that relationship. Love, treat the people that God gives you well. Be responsible for the energy that you bring into their lives. Don't be irresponsible for that. And don't be irresponsible in the sense that, hey sis, there goes another one. Don't be irresponsible in the sense where you think, okay, because some people like, I don't want to bring this, but I'm gonna just draw away. That also brings pain. Withdrawing yourself from people can hurt them too, especially if they don't understand what's going on. So like, make sure you communicate. Don't be afraid to communicate. If you have an issue communicating things when it hurts and you don't want to do that, for you to have healthy relationships, that is something you're going to have to accept. You're going to have to accept that you're going to have to talk. I'm one of those people that I can talk with you about a lot of things, but when my feelings were not one of those things that I like to talk about, I just did not. Okay. But have to. It's not fair to people who are trying to love you and then they blindside and they don't know what's going on. It's not fair to people who actually give their heart to you and you hurt them that way. You don't want to be that person that, well, I was just doing what's best for you. No, you weren't. You were doing what's best for you because you didn't want to face it. You didn't want to. You want all the things around it, but you don't want to deal with that painful spot. And if somebody's doing something that reminds you of pain, but you're not talking to them about it, and yet you just withdrawing yourself from those things, you're not. That's not fair. That's painful. And or if you're doing the opposite, and you're all in their face behind it, and you're pressing them, and they're like, what's going? Why are you acting like that? You can get grace and you can get forgiveness, but you got to communicate to people so they can have the opportunity. If you never give people the opportunity to love you, that's on you. You can't be mad at them for not loving you. Like if I tell somebody something and they treat me a certain way based out of that, then that's on them now. But at least I said it. At least I know where I stand with that person, right? But if you never say anything, or you never deal with what's going on in your heart, or you start acting different when that person's around and y'all weren't like that before, then you're not dealing with something. And you need to make sure you're communicating. Okay? Make sure you're communicating with people so that yes, thank you, sis. Make sure you're communicating with people, because if somebody gives it doesn't matter who you are. When you give your heart to something or anybody, it hurts when you don't know why somebody is upset or they just withdraw from you. Okay, like that's not a fun feeling. But on the other end, even though it may be not fun, the person that's dealing with the withdrawal, people are gonna be what they're gonna be. So you gotta kind of let them withdraw from you, and you just pray from them in the meantime if you're dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people that don't always share it right away. But I've had to learn that that's only hurting me, actually, because if God gave me these women in my life and I don't share what's going on in my mind, I don't know. I may need a mental correction. I may be thinking wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I can't be afraid to share that because these are the people that God gave me. So this should be a safe place for me to share what I'm thinking, because I may be thinking wrong. And if they correct me, I can't be mad at it, because that's the whole point, right? Iron sharpening iron is not always going to be glitz and glam. It's going to be the truth. It's going to be the truth. If they say, Shana, y'all can't call me that. Only my sisters and, my family members call me that. But that's what they call me, right? Everybody else call me Lorenza, okay? But they be like, Shana, when you said that hurt me, I didn't really like that because it felt like this. Even if it hurts me hearing that, like, I would never, da, da, da. I can't be in defense mode. It's not about me right now because I clearly wasn't aware, so they had to tell me. So clearly it's not about me, it's about their feelings. And then I just hear them out, I'm like, you know, at first, I want to let you know, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. That was not my intention. Then, that would never be my intention, and I love you. Now, this is what I'm going to do. This is how can we go forward to make sure that we're having clear lines of communication so that this is not a misunderstanding again. But if I did all I can do and I'm doing all the things that you've asked me to do and you still having a problem, then at that point, now you got to go figure out why you keep having that problem, because now I can't do anything else and I can't be accountable for your pain that I didn't create, but I can love you through it, but I'm not going to take the blame for it. You see what I'm saying? Like, there is a line between being accountable for a moment that I caused you something or being accountable for something someone else did to you, but I will be accountable for my part, but I can't be accountable to the point to where I'm hindering the growth of my sister. I got to be honest. Like, listen, I've talked to you about this. You talked to me about that, but there's nothing else I can do. I feel like that has something to do with something that happened before me. And I'm here to support you in that, but I don't want to keep being blamed for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to judge you, but I think this is a deeper issue, maybe. And just talk to God about it. And if you need me in anything, I'll be there for you. You know, like, not dismissing their feelings, not dismissing that it's real, not dismissing any of that, but just being honest. And if you're wrong in that moment and God say you need to go back and apologize, it is you. Then go be like, you know what, God showed me it was me. And it's like, it's not like we make things bigger than what they have to be. We're all human. We're all going to have pain. We're all going to have issues. We're all going to have things that are not easy for us. But the whole point of God giving you relationships and sisterhoods and brotherhoods and people that you just call family like that, you know what I'm saying, is so that those are the places where God can use those relationships to help restore something that the enemy took in a different relationship. You know what I'm saying? But if we never say anything, if we just avoid things, we can't create healing. We just avoiding it. And who wants to live like that? Who wants to live in limbo? Like, do you want me around or do you not want me around? Like, that's me. Do you want me here or do you not want me here? Because if you don't, that's cool. If you do, that's cool too. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to remember that, you know, the relationships before, maybe they didn't work out because sometimes we cut people off too soon. We don't grow or we don't decide to learn from it. And some people we do have to cut off. But I feel like the ones that God says, these are your people. These are the people that I'm putting around you, whether it's blood family or surrogate family. Treat them well, because God is using them and using you to sharpen each other, because this is the safest place it's going to be. It may still hurt because of how you love those people, but this is the place where God's grace is in that relationship. And so there's probably going to be first more each other trying to be understanding first versus something else, because that's what God showed you. These people are for you. That's why he gave them to you. He didn't say it's going to be easy to always be friends or be sisters or be brothers or be mother, be daughter, be son, be, you know, be daughter, you know, all that, father. He never said it was always going to be easy. He said that it was going to be worth it. And let's face it, I just feel like I done been through so much with my sisters that, you know, they know me. They know me. We've been through so much. You just know me. You just know. I don't have to say everything. Thank God. But if God is bringing new people in your life, this is what you're going to have to be open to. Okay? Like, you have to be open to the growth. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. Because who we were yesterday is not who we are today. We are always learning and growing. And I'm just grateful for what God has given me. And I just want to say that. And it's worth it. It's worth it, because I didn't always have people who are worth it being around. Okay? I think we all been in that experience. But don't think that everybody is the same just because something may smell similar or look similar. Talk to God about people in every aspect. Good, bad, wonderful, ugly. Okay? before you make an assumption, and then ask God give you wisdom how to go about things, okay? Because everybody belongs to God first, and we are only borrowed or borrowing somebody as a gift, a temporary gift, and we just don't want to waste that opportunity to see God through their experience, to learn, to love, because not everybody's going to get that person, not everybody's going to get you. Some people will only ever hear stories about your friends from you, and your sisters and your brothers from you. They will never get to know them. You are one of the few people in their lives that get to know them. Do not take that for granted. Okay? Do not take people's lives in your life for granted. It is a beautiful gift. Thank you, sis. It's a beautiful gift. I know what it's I know what it's like to feel alone. And I know what it's like to feel loved. And I'm telling you, do not take the people that God gives you for granted, because those are the safest places you're going to be. It doesn't mean that y'all won't hurt each other. It just means that there's grace there for forgiveness, understanding, and to be human. You need people you can be human with. Yes, I'm a believer, but I'm a human first. Like, you know, I live here right now. Like, I'm not in heaven yet. Like, I live here, and so do they. And you don't need to make anybody be you. The beauty in these relationships is that everybody's different. We don't need a whole bunch of me's or a whole bunch of whoever's. We just need everybody to be them, and nobody trying to change the other person, but learning and loving each other as who they are and where they are. And everybody got to be in the same exact, like, whatever, like, it's like a beautiful puzzle of people that make a beautiful picture. You got to love people. And you got to ask God on what that looks like, because the love one of my sisters needs from me may not look like the love my other sister may need from me. But there are some things that are concrete that they always all will get from me, because that is just what they get. That just comes with the territory, because they're my sister. Like, they my sister, I'm going to be covering them. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're always going to get prayed for, always going to be covered, protected in some type of way. And even against me, if I'm the one that's hurting, then I'm going to hold myself accountable. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Women, we have to be accountable for our sisters. We have to be accountable for how we show up or disappear. It's not always our action, but it's our inactions sometimes. You know, I'm one of those that have to learn how to call people. I'm not good with calling. I will text you in a hot minute. But my calling could be better. But thank God for the grace. Okay? But I love you guys. Thank you for stopping in today. Thank you for coming. I hope this helps somebody. If y'all feel like this is a good episode for somebody, then please share, or any episode really. Just share. This is a 2-part episode because it got cut off, so nobody could hear me. So they will both be up. I will put the same thumbnail on both of them later. But yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. You know, the silk press is pressed, honey. The silk press is applying pressure, I believe. Thank you so much. But yes, I love you guys. Y'all be safe. Y'all share. Y'all, whatever, you know, I'm going to pray for everybody. God, just thank you for everybody that's on View from the Throne tonight. God, I just pray that you be with them where they are, with their families, in their spirit, in their mind. If there's someone on here that hears this podcast and they do not know you, Lord, we just pray right now. And you can repeat after me if you want to have him in your heart and in your life. God, I know and believe that Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son, direct descendant of you, Lord, that came and died on the cross for my sins. I'm asking that that Jesus come live in my heart and in my life. In Jesus' name, I believe. And if you said that and you believed it, you are now a part of the family. Welcome to the family. I need to get some little celebration streamer thingies or something. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. It's nice to have you. Heaven is throwing a big celebration right now, believe me. Okay, because you have come home and you've come in. Now, it's not always going to be easy, but it's always going to be worth it. Okay, life is always going to life, but God is always going to be God too. Okay, and I suggest getting downloading a prayer app. The Pray app, it says Pray, the black box. You can do Bible in a year in there, and it's very illustrated, and so it keeps it interesting, especially when you're first reading the Bible. And you can go and read your own Bible. You can get the King James version or New Translation, which is easier to read. New King James or New Translation. You can do some online churches. Of course, we have the Potter's House, but we have others like Flowers in Houston, and Concord up here. We have some in Florida. So if you don't know where to go, you can start kind of surfing. Stephen Furtick is good. The interwebs for these pastors, but you might want to just try one that's close to you first. Non-denominational is good to start with. That or a Baptist church, like somewhere like I feel like you kind of can get in there a little bit easier and not feel so much pressure. You know, but yeah. So what are denominations? Just look it up. Just in case if you don't know, just look it up. Non-denominational is best in my opinion, but just look it up. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. I'll see y'all next time at the throne. And yeah. Bye. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work. God will do what he said, child, what he said he will do. Love you. Love you.